Restaurant Food Fast with your host, Chuck Brooks.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Restaurant Food Fast. We're on episode 19, I think it is. And now for something completely different. Today we're not going to do hot side. We're not doing culinary, in quotes, as in savory items. My daughter was lack of foresight enough to decide to want to follow in my footsteps into the culinary world. She has decided to go into pastry. So she happens to be back from her externship out at Pebble Beach, where she was externing as a pastry chef. And she is going to show us how to do a parfait, a Diplomat Cream parfait today. So, again, this is kind of like the Chinese recipes I was doing where there's a lot of ingredients, but it's not really that difficult. It looks like more than it is. And I'll show you the ingredients. I'll introduce you to my daughter, and she's going to take it from there and show you how to do all this. I don't even know how to describe. It's a basic pastry cream with whipped cream added. So if you take the inside of an eclair and you fold in whipped cream to it, you have a Diplomat Cream. It's a really nice light dessert. And what she's doing is she's going to make a lemon flavored Diplomat Cream. So you start with your basics for the cream, which would be your eggs, sugar, cornstarch, milk, and she's adding the lemon juice, a little bit of vanilla. And then you put whatever berries you want in your parfait. So we're using blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries today. We're going to do two to show you. Again, this is one of the reasons I like this recipe is because, like our other recipes, you can do a bunch of different things with this basic recipe. Once you learn how to do a pastry cream, you can do a ton of different desserts just by changing ingredients. So this is the main one that we're going to do. We also have another set back here, which is all the same basic ingredients, except we're going to change it into a island cream. So we're going to put, instead of lemon, coconut milk. And instead of the berries, we're going to use mangoes, papayas, and kiwis. So it's just going to change the taste of it completely. Same basic recipe. So it's not real difficult. I'm not a baker. I like to wing it. I like to know what the flavors are going to be, fire them all together, and away I go. Baking is different. Baking is very exact. So when you get the recipe for this, it has to be pretty concise with what you're doing, other than the berry part. When this part of the mixture has to be the same. Because once you start changing the amounts of liquids you add, the amounts of starches and sugars, it changes your final product. So as long as you keep the basics the same, you'll end up with a wonderful recipe. A little different than regular culinary where I can take whatever I want, throw it in, and all it does is change flavor and texture a little bit. You can actually completely butcher a baking recipe by not following the recipe. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my daughter, and she's going to take it from here, and she will show you how to do these two basic recipes. So this is my little sweetie. This is my oldest daughter. This is Britt, and she is going to take it from here, and she's going to show you how to do these basic recipes. She's going to put them together, I think, with, we bought a pre-bought angel food cake. So for the starch part of this parfait, she's going to slice down some, or cube down some angel food cake and mix it all together, and you'll see when she's done. But I'm going to get out of the shop now, and I'm going to have a nice relaxing weekend, and I'll let my baby do the rest.
Okay. Hi everybody. Nice to meet you. Yeah, he talked me into this, so have fun with the dessert. We're going to start off by boiling the milk and the lemon juice together. So you put that in your pan. I like half and half the recipe so that I could add the lemon juice. So I put 8 ounces of milk and I put 8 ounces of lemon juice, fresh squeezed. So you put that together and you whisk it a little bit, just mix it together. And you want to bring it to a boil. And then I have cornstarch and I have sugar. There's 4 ounces of sugar, and then there is 1.5 ounces of cornstarch. And I mix these together so that the cornstarch doesn't clump up liquid. Mix that all together until it's nice and granulated like the sugar is. And then I have 3 eggs, and I'm just going to break them right into the cornstarch and sugar mixture. Try not to get any shells. Like I just did. You normally just pick them out. And then you whisk those all together. So while you're waiting for your milk and your lemon juice to come to a boil, you mix this together, and you can cut up your berries if you have strawberries like we have. And we just took the strawberries and we cut off the tips and we quartered them, so you get 4 pieces. And then you can get your butter together. There is 1.5 ounces of butter, and we just put them in small pieces because we're going to add it to the very end and it has to melt into the cooked pastry cream. And now we also have a little bit of vanilla extract. You can use vanilla bean if you want. We have 1/2 ounce of vanilla extract, and if you use a vanilla bean, you use 1/2 vanilla bean. With most recipes in baking, you scale it out, so it's not fluid ounces or things like that. It's precise measurements with weight, so it's nice to get yourself, hold on. I have this scale I bought for school. It's like $30, and it can do grams, it can do pounds, it can do ounces, and it goes to like 16 pounds. And normally if you're making small desserts, that works. So make sure, since there's lemon juice in with the milk, it might make it curdle, so just stir it every once in a while it's heating together. It shouldn't take very long because it's a small batch. Oh, and we're back. The milk has started to boil. So what we're going to do is called tempering. We're going to take a little bit of the hot milk and we're going to start whisking it into the egg mixture. Make sure that, just so that the temperature of the egg doesn't go too high and cook the eggs too fast. So you mix that together. And then once that's all incorporated, then you can add it all into the hot milk. And you stir that until it's combined really nicely. And you put it back over the flame. And you continue stirring it while you cook it until it comes to a second boil.
Why?
So that you can cook out all the cornstarch and it doesn't have a very starchy flavor to it. And it also thickens. Once the cornstarch comes to a boiling temperature, it thickens up. Yeah, I can tell.
She didn't bring any home, so.
And you want to mix this quite vigorously because you don't want any clumps. It's not one of those things that you walk away from in the middle of because it's taking too long. And it's starting to thicken up. And I'm going to cook it for about a minute once it starts boiling, just to make sure that it doesn't have the starchy flavor in it anymore. And you also want to see the desired thickness. So if you cook it longer, it's going to be thicker. But you have to watch because you don't want to burn the bottom of it. I think it's cooked quite long enough. Take it off and take it out of the hot pot as soon as I can. And if you notice that the bottom of your pan has started to brown a little bit on the bottom, don't try to scrape that off. You can take the stuff off the sides, but that's not good. It won't taste good. So now I'm going to get some saran wrap. And you want to cover your pudding. Just so that it doesn't get a film over the top because it gets kind of leathery. And you want to touch it to the pastry cream. And then you want to let it cool.
Okay, as Brady scurries around me, cleaning up after herself, which is a very good habit to get into. As you can see, there's a little bit of difference in baking, doing desserts as opposed to doing regular savory cooking or culinary hot side type cooking. These recipes can take a little bit longer, generally because when you're doing a flour recipe of any sort, dough recipes, you need to let it rest or you need to let it rise. So they take a little bit more time. With this, the pastry cream, you have to let it cool. In the current state, it's still very liquid. As it cools, it sets, and it's going to get basically like a pudding. Now with these recipes, it calls for, I believe, 16 ounces of milk or liquid. As you can see, what Britt did is she took portions of that liquid and substituted it to create the different flavor. We're going to start doing the coconut cream here in a minute, and all you do is take, if it calls for 16 ounces, you use 12 ounces of milk, use 4 ounces of coconut milk. With the lemon, she used, I think, 5 ounces of lemon juice to 11 ounces of milk. Just swap them back and forth. The difference with this, as opposed to some of the recipes I show you, is that with a pastry cream, you have to change that liquid during cooking. You can change the flavor after by making a basic vanilla and adding things to it, but it's not going to be as infused. You're not going to be able to get, unless you would, I guess you could melt chocolate to it, something of that nature to change its flavor a little bit. But if you try and add liquid to this pastry cream afterward, it's not going to work. Your pastry cream is never going to set to the consistency you want it. So keep that in mind if you want to make one that's flavored. The very basic ones, the ones that you put inside eclairs, are just the vanilla. So it's 16 ounces of milk, same ingredients that we had minus the lemon juice. And it's just a basic vanilla pastry cream. And you can use that in any sort of flans or any of the filled pastries and such. So there you go. We're just going to start doing the coconut while the other one cools, and then we may do a cutaway while that cools to show you how to build it up later into the parfait.
Alright, so this is all the stuff we have for the coconut pastry cream. Keep your butter and your vanilla out so you don't forget it like I did. All your fruit. And it's pretty much the same process. You're just going to add your milk, and this time it's going to be coconut milk, and you can get that canned or used fresh if you have good coconuts. But we got it canned in the special foods aisle. We couldn't find it anywhere else. We found it in the special food aisle. I'm just going to reuse the whisk because it's going to be the same thing anyways. And mix those together and put them over heat. Okay, so once again, 4 ounces of sugar and 1.5 ounces cornstarch. Half my sugar just came off the... Add those two together and stir them so that cornstarch doesn't clump up when you add it to the hot liquid. And you want to add your eggs into that mixture again. whisk them in. And if you notice that you have clumps of cornstarch in your eggs, you can always push it through a sifter. That'll take a very long time, and you probably just want to start over again. But it is possible. Actually, an interesting fact, something they showed me in school. You notice how I made the pastry cream and then added the vanilla and the butter. You can actually add it to the hot liquid also. Some chefs think that it changes the flavor and changes how creamy it is, but we've tried it and experimented, and it actually doesn't matter when you add it. So if you think you're going to forget it in the end, you might as well add it in the beginning like I'm going to do. And just whisk it until the butter is melted. And for the tropical, we cut up some kiwi, and a simple way to do the kiwi, can you see this? If I put it here, is cut off the ends with a paring knife or a chef's knife if you like working with big knives. And take a spoon, and you're going to just put it right underneath the skin of the kiwi and push. And then you can rotate the spoon, and you'll see the spoon right under the skin. And you just keep twisting until you feel that it's broken through all of the skin barrier. And you can just push the kiwi out, and you have a perfectly skinned kiwi. And then you don't have very much kiwi left around the skin. We also wanted to show you what papaya looks like inside. Not very many people see it. So papaya is generally green on the outside. What we did was we peeled off the outside, and then we cut it in half, and it has all these black seeds in it. So you don't want to eat those seeds, so you normally take the seeds out. You can take a spoon like you do with like cantaloupe or something like that, and just take all that out. And it's as simple as that. Let me put that to the side, and we already have some done. Like I said with the boiling over, you don't want to do too many things at once if you're not experienced in the kitchen. I used a higher pot for this one, so it didn't completely boil over. So if you think you're going to have your product boil over, use as high of a pot as you can, because it takes longer for it to come up. And so what we're going to do is take the milk with coconut milk, and we're going to temper it, and again, just so that the eggs slowly get to the temperature of the hot milk. We're going to whisk that together. And then we're going to add it into our hot milk. And you can start smelling it. If it smells good, you know you did a good job. If it doesn't, you might want to start again. You put it back over the flame, and you cook it into a second boil, making sure that you keep stirring it. And this time I won't forget my butter and vanilla. You'll hear it too once it's starting to boil. And another important thing is just smell your product while you're doing it. If you start smelling a burnt flavor, even if you don't see something burnt, that pretty much means you burnt your food.
can move with the heat.
So I'm going to take this off now. Turn off my heat. And
Show the bottom.
and it's got a little bit of brown on the outside, but because of just the nature of the pastry cream, most of it will come off of the hot bottom, but you'll still see that there will be a little bit, and that comes out really easy if you just put it in hot water and let it soak. We're going to wait until it cools a little bit before we add anything else to it. Cover it with saran wrap. My dad keeps saying coconut, coconut, and it depends on the coconut that you're using. If you have dried unsweetened coconut, you might want to add it while the product is still boiling, just so that that coconut will soften up. But when we were out, we got moistened sweetened coconut, so we can wait on that one. So you can just put this in the freezer or in the refrigerator and let it cool. So we're back, and we purchased some angel food, and it's already made. So this is what we're gonna cube up. So it's not very expensive. You can get it for like $5 at the bakery. And so I'm just gonna cut out a little slice of it with a bread knife. And you can make this at home too. It's really easy, but that'll be another show.
For her.
For me, whenever I'm home. So I'm just gonna take it and take little slices about ½ an inch thick. And then just kind of cube it. It can be rough cubes.
She has my skills as a pastry chef.
It's kind of hard. You don't have to be fast in the kitchen, just proficient in what you're doing. So,
What?
as long as you need to.
What?
And then work on your speed once you've mastered the things that you're doing.
This is all hearsay. Anybody who's listening
What
to
the
her,
chefs at my school tell me.
this is all hearsay. Coming from a commercial kitchen, that's not the truth.
Well, when you're working in your own kitchen, yes, you should take your time. If you're thrown into a kitchen atmosphere, learn as quickly as you possibly can or you're going to get kicked out. So what we're going to do once the pastry cream cools is take Cool Whip, because we don't have time to make homemade whipped cream, which is always better. So we're going to take the Cool Whip, and we're going to fold it in. And how much Cool Whip depends on how light you want your pastry cream to be. So if you like thicker creams and things like that, then don't even add the Cool Whip. But if you want something more mousse-like, light flavors, something, you know, nice for after dinner, then add some more Cool Whip. And you can have like, I don't know. So we're back, and we're adding some of the pastry cream. This is the lemon one. We're adding some of the pastry cream in a bowl. And then we're going to take some of the Cool Whip and put that in with the pastry cream and just mix it together.
Not fold?
Well, no, it's just mixing. When you make mousses, you have to fold. But I'm not really folding it. I'm just adding it together until it's all incorporated. And I just keep adding it until it looks and tastes the way that I want to.
It looks and tastes the way you want to, or the way you want it to?
The way I want it to. And adding the cold whipped cream or Cool Whip will also stiffen the pastry cream. And a little bit more. Just keep stirring it in. And get rid of these. And we are going to use a martini glass, but you can use wine glasses, or they have special parfait glasses if you want to go out and buy them. And so I'm going to put some of the angel food in the bottom. And then I'm going to take some of the berries that we cut up and put that on top. Pretty about using these glasses is because you see everything that you're eating. Not like it's a big surprise.
Ooh, fish!
And then you take your Diplomat Cream now, because you added your whipped cream, and you put that on top. And you smooth it out. And we normally have like offset spatulas or something like that we make it completely smooth with. But I don't have one right now, so. And then you can garnish it with some of the fruit that you cut up. Just arrange it on the top so people know what's all in there if they can't tell already. And that is your lemon parfait. And we're back and starting the next one. This is our coconut pastry cream. We let it chill. And I'm going to add the moist and sweetened coconut. And once again, this is one of those things that you can give or take, like in culinary. It depends on how much you want in there. I'm going to put about half a cup. Mix it in. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that mixture, put it in a bowl. And I'm going to take my Cool Whip and add it just to my liking. I normally do about half and half. So you can try that and then go from there if you want. A little bit more. Alright, now that everything is mixed together, you can taste your product. Tastes good. Put your angel food in the bottom. And what's fun about parfaits is you don't have to do it the same way every time. So I'm going to put a little bit of my coconut over top of the angel food cake just to make a layer. And then I'm going to take the fruit that we have cut up and put some of that in. And then finish it off with more of the pastry cream, or Diplomat Cream. Just enough to cover your cup overflowing. And then garnish it with the fruits that you used. Just gonna throw it in there. I'm just gonna do a big pile of fruit because these pieces are a lot smaller. And here's your tropical parfait.
All right, there you go. Longer version of what we normally do. Baking takes that way. It just takes a little while longer. But same basic premise as everything else we do. You take one recipe, add a couple other things to it, now you got something completely new and different. So you got a pastry cream recipe, go out and make yourself a bunch of desserts. As you can see, they're wonderful. And these are mine, and no one else gets a taste. So thanks for tuning in and watching. You can get hold of us at restaurantfoodfast@gmail.com. And until next week, cook something fun or have someone else cook something fun for you. Have a good one. See you next week. It's not just me. Everybody has to go back to the kitchen, to the sink.
Finish that one later. Cut that off. And so it would just bebop or...
That's staying in, you know that.
Yeah. Okay.
Or making faces in the dough.
Yeah, that's something I used to do.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah, no.
This is really good. It's not that I didn't want to do a show today. It's that when she's in town, if she hasn't brought me desserts, she has to make desserts. So I figured I could kill two birds with one stone. And this is really good. So, yay.